Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield my time to Mr. Larson.
I thank the gentlelady from Washington. And I would, Mr. Chairman, like to submit for the record, in fact, it just came out, that under the title of Democracy Dies in Darkness, Social Security facing pressure from DOGE weighs big cuts to phone service. You question why we want to have Elon Musk in front of us. And here, the very group that he's leading is pressuring people to do away with the phone service. As Mr. Panetta just mentioned, his constituents are responding, as are all of our constituents.
Pursuant to the unanimous consent request that's so ordered.
Pardon?
Unanimous consent so ordered.
Thank you for, and continuing with this article, because I think it's very relevant to the discussion here and should be part of the record. It would take me 10 minutes to read it. But it deserves to be here, along with, we've heard today a lot about facts. Here's the facts. Here's the truth. There are over 70 million Americans who rely on Social Security. 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Social Security. There has been no adjustment to Social Security in over 50 years. 5 million of your fellow Americans get below poverty level checks from Social Security, having paid into it all their lives. Most of them are women, and of them, most of them are women of color. For close to 50% of all Americans, Social Security is the main thing they have. The genius of Franklin Delano Roosevelt is still with us today. It is the safety net for capitalism that you guys should be joining with us to make sure that we preserve and extend and provide that opportunity where you have an environment where you can take risk, knowing that there's a safety net there for the very people who work hard and play by the rules every day to make that investment. I yield my remaining of my time to Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. So my friend, Mr. Bean, pointed out a couple of things that I think are really important. So let's take a look at the record. In 1981, President Reagan presided over a substantial tax cut. In 1982, President Reagan looked at the tax cut and said, no, 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 it's too much, we have to revisit it, which he did. In 1990, President Bush Sr., after having made a pledge at a Republican National Convention, based on what he thought were the facts at the time, came back and looked at the facts in 1990 and changed his mind. In 1993, Bill Clinton, he decided that there had to be cuts and revenue increases. In 1997, again, it took place. I would also point out that the Republican leader at the time, Bob Michael, a distinguished member of Congress and a really nice guy, by the way, he went along with it. What President Bush wanted to do, and then subsequently what came to be the balanced budgets took place 4 times. I don't understand for the life of me how we can say that we're about to add, over the objections of this side, $4 trillion to the national debt through tax cuts and say that's going to give us a balanced budget. The logic escapes all of us. So let's take Reagan, Bush, and Clinton twice and use those models for getting to what we all would like, and that's a more balanced budget picture.
I recognize Mr. Arrington. 5 minutes to strike the last one.
I thank the chairman. every dime that is wasted in the Social Security Administration and administrating the benefits to our beloved seniors, and quite frankly, any government program, is a dime that doesn't go to the intended beneficiary, to people that depend on these programs. And in the case of Social Security, every dime that we're not vigilant, every dime of waste that we're not vigilant about rooting out, shortens the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund, which now has a fuse of 8 years before every senior, every retiree that depends on that safety net will take an automatic 20% cut. And that's indisputable. We all agree with that. So unless and until both sides come together to actually fix the broken Social Security system so it's there and sustainable for generations, we ought to do the first order of business, and that is reducing and eliminating wasteful spending and inefficiencies in the program. I don't think there's a senior in America that would not support that. And look, if this were about just merely having a plan, we just want to know, this is just an innocent request for a little more information and transparency, then there wouldn't be this rhetoric about they're decimating the program, they're gutting the program, they're utterly destroying the program. I don't believe you right now. I don't believe that it is this sincere attempt to just understand what the plan is, because the rhetoric isn't consistent with that. It's rhetoric that is scaring our seniors. In fact, I think it's predatory. And it is not productive to the end of having us work together. And we both know, both sides know this, because I know my friend Mr. Larson has a plan. But when the Democrats had full control from top to bottom of this town, they didn't put that plan on the floor. They didn't advance it. Now, you were willing to do it. I appreciate your leadership. I don't like your plan, but you had the courage to put it forward. We all should accept the reality, political reality, that it's going to take both sides to do it, just like with Reagan and Tip O'Neill. Let me finish my point, if I may. This is not going to help us get there. This is why this place is broken, and this is why it's nearly impossible for both sides to come together, because the baseball bat, the political baseball bat, is taken out so easily and quickly to beat the other side when they're trying to do the right thing. The president said he's not going to touch the benefits, he's going to protect it. But in every program and in every way, it's being poorly managed, and dollars are misspent and misappropriated, and there's waste, and the taxpayers and the beneficiaries are being defrauded. He's going to be vigilant. His colleagues, like Elon Musk and others who've been tasked with this, will be diligent, and so will we. That is, I think, an expectation of the American people. I just called the Social Security Administration, and this was the response I got. First of all, I couldn't get to a human being. They said it's going to take a couple of hours, and I don't know any senior that wouldn't give up on that first fact. Secondly, for the disability benefits, it says we'll get back to you in 200 days. Fill out a bunch of forms, wait for 2 hours, we'll get back to you in 200 days. There's got to be a better way to run the railroad. And seniors have suffered, and it's not, the answer isn't always throw more money at it, throw more people at it. I know that's the response for those who believe in, in the government we trust. Well, it's not working. Seniors aren't getting a good response. People aren't showing up to work, and there's a bunch of waste and fraud that needs to be dealt with head on. So I don't believe this a scare tactic is going to work, it will whip our seniors into a state of anxiety and distress. And that is so unfortunate and so sad. I'm out of time, and I yield back, and I'm sure I'll hear from my friend, Mr. Larson.